All right, let's jump right in. Today we're exploring a really fascinating idea. What if some of the most powerful leadership secrets weren't cooked up in a business school but have been hiding in plain sight for centuries? We're going to break down how science is finally catching up to a powerful cultural tradition. So let me just start with a big question. What if the keys to modern leadership, things like emotional intelligence, building trust, resilience, what if they weren't invented in some corporate boardroom, but have actually been perfected over generations in a place you might not expect? Well, it turns out the answer might just be found inside a new book. It's called Call and Response, and it makes this incredible case that the cultural traditions of the historic Black church actually hold a blueprint for a more human and, frankly, a more effective style of leadership. Now, this is really important to get right off the bat. This is not a religious text. It's a cultural and scientific exploration. The whole idea behind the book is that it decodes these traditions to show the applied psychology and, yes, even neuroscience that makes them so incredibly powerful for building leaders. Okay, so let's get into the first big idea here. The book makes a pretty bold claim that for many of America's most successful Black leaders, the Black church was, for all intents and purposes, their original business school. And look, this isn't just some nice theory or a hunch. It's actually anchored in some pretty powerful data. And it all starts with this one number, 76%. So what does that mean? Well, this is the key to understanding just how deep this connection really runs. That's 76%. It comes from a survey of 155 Black executives. And get this, more than 3/4 of them pointed directly back to their experiences in the Black church as the place where they learned their foundational leadership skills. I mean, think about that. They were learning public speaking, project management, how to collaborate, long before they ever stepped foot in a corporate trading session. This quote from the book just nails the whole argument perfectly. These cultural practices, they always worked. They had this intuitive power. What might have looked like just emotion or tradition to someone on the outside was actually a really sophisticated system for building high-performing, emotionally intelligent leaders. So the big question is, how does this actually work? How do these traditions translate into real, tangible skills? Well, the book breaks it all down in its core model, which it calls the Leadership Revival Framework. Okay, this slide right here is the aha moment. It draws a straight line from a cultural practice to a scientific principle to a concrete leadership skill. So, for example, take gospel music. That shared rhythm is linked to something called neural entrainment. That's when our brainwaves literally sync up with others, which helps build emotional intelligence. Or the classic call and response in a sermon. Science calls that synchrony and attunement, and it's what builds collective intelligence and trust in a group. It's just a fascinating way of translating culture into science. The framework organizes all these lessons into 3 pretty straightforward areas. It all starts with self-work, building your own inner strength, your resilience, and your purpose. Then it moves to relationship work, which is all about how you connect with and lead other people through trust and collaboration. And finally, there's world work, which is how you take all those skills to make a bigger impact and leave a lasting legacy. But this is so much more than just another leadership book on the shelf. The story behind its creation, behind how it's being positioned, that's historic too. It really makes this whole project a true milestone. Get this, the book is part of a major collaboration between Amistad, the legendary HarperCollins imprint for Black voices, and JVL Media, which is the production company from Viola Davis and Julius Tenen. I mean, that partnership alone tells you that this is being treated as a really significant cultural moment, not just another business book release. The book also represents a lot of important firsts. It's the first to scientifically analyze these traditions as leadership incubators. It's the first to really validate what some might have dismissed as just emotion and prove that no, it's a science-backed practice. It's even the first to take terms like hootin' and hollerin' and unpack them in a serious business context. And this is wild. It draws a direct line from the performance style of the pulpit all the way to the lyricism of hip-hop as a model for powerful communication. Okay, the way we talk about this book is absolutely crucial. The source material is very, very clear on this. This is about leadership with heart. It is not a Christian book. It's about culture plus science. It's not a religious guide. And importantly, it's being framed as a leadership resource for absolutely everyone, not as a niche DEI initiative. So this really isn't just about selling a book. The bigger goal here is to start a movement. And this last section really gets into why now is the absolute perfect moment for this message. I mean, think about the world we're in right now, with so much burnout and so much focus on AI and machine-centered work. The book's call for a leadership revival feels incredibly timely, doesn't it? It's arguing for a return to leadership that's fundamentally human, one that's centered on emotional intelligence and genuine connection. And to get that movement going, a community of ambassadors has been built. These are essentially early readers and supporters who are helping to champion these ideas in their own networks, making sure this conversation spreads organically from the ground up. So, we're going to end right back where we started, with a big question to leave you with. As AI and automation keep moving faster and faster, where are our most human leadership qualities going to come from? This book suggests that maybe the answer isn't in what's next, but in looking back at a cultural tradition that's been building those exact qualities all along.